invitations were out. The 1994 champion was back. But Dave Traber and Roger Bowker decided to make it their party instead. They are in positions 1 and 2 as we head into the championship round finals tonight. ESPN and the Professional Bowlers Association bring you the championship round finals of the Rochester Open. We're in the flower capital of the world. It's the Lilac City. That's Rochester, New York. Welcome everyone to Marcel's Olympic Bowl. Hi everybody, I'm Mike Durbin. Working with me again is PBA and ABC Hall of Famer Earl Anthony. And Earl, the bowler in our #1 position this week, he bowled so well that he really just outdistanced himself from everybody else in the field.
He did, no question about it, averaging 238 for the 42 games up to this point. David Traber was dominant. There's no question about it. But, you know, a lot of people might say, I don't know who this guy is. Well, let me tell you, he can play. He's a very, very good player. He beat his brother for the 1994 PBA National Championship, and he's a great shot maker in the clutch. I expect him to bowl a big game tonight.
Well, he may bowl that big game, but there'll be another big game bowled against him by our #2 player because he's won twice here at Marcel's already.
He has. Roger Bowker he's just the crowd favorite. Everybody in Rochester loves Roger Bowker, and Roger Bowker loves Rochester, New York. It's a blue-collar town. Roger Bowker is a blue-collar kind of guy. He's ready to win again.
And the bowler in our #3 position. He's won 8 regional victories, but he's still looking for that first national victory, Steve Wilson.
Steve Wilson, a very good young player, only 27 years old. This is his 9th year as a PBA member, but he's only been a touring player out here with the big guys for the last 3 years. He's got a lot of talent. I expect him to win soon. Tonight could be the night.
Well, we'll see if it is, but the opening match is going to be a battle of past PBA presidents. Well, past and current, as Marc McDowell, a past PBA president, takes on the current president, Walter Ray Williams, Jr. And that past president, Marc McDowell, is going to open our telecast on lane 33 as we're using lanes 33 and 34 here at Marcel's Olympic Bowl. Marc looked tough in practice there, Earl.
He did. He's got good ball speed, and he's getting the ball to hold the pocket, the line to the pocket extremely well. The lanes have been hooking all week long, and by that I mean the players have been able to throw the ball out near the channel and bring it back from most anywhere in the lane. Sometimes when it looked like it was going to fall in the channel, it would still hook back to the pocket, and that's the reason you see such high scores as we've had all through the week.
Walter Ray, no matter what he bowls, whether it's 230 or 150 or wins or loses, he always looks confident.
He always looks confident, and he always has this great game. We're going to take a look at the style of Walter Ray Williams here going to the foul line from the side. Good. Watch how free and easy the arm swing is. Nice and loose from the shoulder. No effort at all. Gets through the shot extremely well. Puts a lot of effort into the release. But that's the only point in this game that shows any effort.
Has that ability to hold that energy to the right moment in time.
That's right. And, you know, we've talked about this a lot of times before. He's 6 times he's been world champion at throwing horseshoes, and a lot of that comes from that hand-eye coordination, the ability to get something to go where you're looking. You're born with that. Walter Ray is very fortunate.
Kind of like Drake Maddox, huh? Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, nothing but strikes so far.
Now we'll take a look at the style of past president Marc McDowell as he goes to the foul line, and this is the kind of style you want to have. If you want to learn to play the game, try to play it like this. The nice, good, full push away, good arm swing. See how he opens the shoulders and the hips a little bit, but watch the position at the foul line as he goes through the shot. Shoulders right over the knee, steady head, and the swing came straight up to the ceiling. Can't do it much better than that, Mike. Well, you could, but not many people.
No. Marc McDowell trying for 3 in a row on lane 33. And his wife, Patty, looking on. They have one child, Ryan. Marc is 33 years old. Walter Ray getting up there. He's 36 now.
Well, he's a ways from the senior tour, but he is getting a little older and a little gray around the edges there, maybe. Boy, these guys don't back off, do they? You strike, I'll strike. Just whoever carries it, doesn't carry the 10-pin or the 4-pin is what it looks like, or maybe one of those terrible bad break,
solid 8 or something like that. Just
Yeah.
have a feeling the way they're flushing the pocket that one of those is going to pop
or
up
even
on it.
maybe a solid 7, something like that from one of these right-handers. They're just bowling so well. And this is typical of what we've seen, as I mentioned, throughout the week. The scores were extremely high. Our tournament leader, David Traber, as I mentioned, in the high 230 average bracket. Whoops.
Oh, what a nice break. Walter Ray has 4 in a row. He leads by 10 pins. Earl Anthony and I will be back for the second part of this match right after this. McDowell fiddling with the ball, make sure the tape is just right, trailing by 10 pins, even though he's perfect through 3 frames, Earl.
Well, he's only trailing because he hasn't bowled the 4th frame yet, the way it looks. You see him working those fingers in, get them deep in. The ideal thing is to put the fingers in first, get them comfortable where you want them, to lay the thumb in the hole so it comes out nice and clean.
Oh, what a nice break, though. Breaks up the double pinnacle, Greek church. He had everything there, winds up with just a 4-7.
Well, he couldn't let go of that ball. I don't know what he was doing with the tape and the thumb hole, but you mentioned he was working on the tape. He couldn't get his hand out of that ball. And if we get another look at that, I hope we can somehow, that ball was well out in the lane, a good 8-9 feet loft-wise, because his thumb wouldn't come out of it. He's been laying the ball down fairly early.
Trouble. Oh, my goodness. He misses the 4-7.
That's just a mental error there. That's kind of a foolish mistake. Let's take a look again at the first shot. Well, the ball's well down the lane already, so we can't see what happened in the release point, but the ball just didn't come off his thumb, and here you can see it's going to go high because he pulled it. He just got up on top of it and pulled it to the left. And here's a look at the spare shot, and watch what happens here. He gets it in the middle of the lane where most of the oil is, and the ball just never turns. Never goes left.
Practice that in practice?
Well, that's what I mean. It's a mental error. If you don't practice those shots before you come on the air, if you don't know what they're going to do under the pressure, and you can see him saying it was a major mental error, and that could be the difference in the match. Walter Ray very seldom lets you come back when he gets you down.
Well, and you just don't make mistakes against a player of this caliber like that.
Well,
I mean, not striking is one thing, but to miss the spare is...
especially after getting the big break. He had the big split and then got away with it.
Walter Ray just says, hey, I'm not concerned with any of that stuff. I just throw my strikes.
Walter Ray plays his own game, and that's what you're supposed to do. There's no defense in the game of bowling. All you can do is be aggressive and attack. Walter Ray is exceptionally good at that.
Exceptionally good. I wonder if you have to attack in horseshoes, too. I mean, there's no defense there either, is there?
Oh, I'm sure it's the same mindset when you play either sport. Throwing horseshoes, throwing a bowling ball, and throwing hand grenades. It's all the same.
Oh.
Same thing he did basically when he just before we went to commercial, when he threw the ball light, got the wall shot, same shot, but it didn't quite get back this time.
2-4-5. There's his fiancée, Paige. She throws horseshoes well too.
Does she?
Yeah. Of course, not as good as Walter Ray, but
nobody else throws them as good as Walter Ray either. And Walter Ray, he's exceptionally good spare shooter. Throws it hard, end over end, right at it, covers the spare.
Well, Walter Ray leading in this match by 33 pins. Marc McDowell can bite into that if he gets a double right here.
Well, Marc, all through that time that Walter Ray was throwing a strike and a spare, was working again on this thumb hole. So starts the match with 3 in a row, and then works on his thumb hole and gets in trouble. So there's a little better shot there. It just rolled up high on him, but it was much better than the one previously on lane 34, where he hit the middle of the head.
Struggling with that release, though, a little.
He is, yeah. And, he's not getting it off his hand as smoothly as he was. When he makes a good shot, the ball, you can't hardly hear it hit the lane. Marc McDowell's game is to get the ball down fairly early and have good solid ball speed and end-over-end roll. Now he's trying to, he can't get his thumb out, so he's lifting up on the ball and lofting it, and that makes, when he makes you hit up on it, the ball hooks early.
We talked about him leaving the tour, and if so, why? This is what he said.
Well, it's not my last tournament. It's my last last touring season. I'm not going to be a touring professional after this year. I've just decided my priorities have changed. Got a family back home, a little boy, Ryan, that's almost a year old. Part owner in a bowling center. I've got some other business ventures going, and it's just time for me to move on. I'd like to lead a little more normal lifestyle and be more of a family man.
Well,
got to admire that. I think that's great.
Yes, I do, too. Right now, though, after such a fast start, he's doing nothing but struggling for 3 out of the last 4 frames as he goes again high, leaves the 6-10.
A young man like Marc McDowell, and he's still pretty young, and you sit back and you look at where your life is going, and I think he made a great decision. He wants to be with his family and spend more time with that young guy growing up.
Well, he converts to 6-10, but through 6.5 frames. Marc McDowell trails by 35. Earl and I will be back with the completion of this match. And you see Walter Ray putting a piece of tape in the thumb hole. I mean, is it contagious, Earl?
I don't know what it is. Maybe, you know, there's a lot of humidity in the air here. Maybe there's a problem with the tape getting a little sticky or gummy, and they're trying to keep it fresh.
Well, have better results for him.
Yeah, Walter Ray is... he's a very intelligent individual, very cool and calm under pressure. He knows exactly what he's trying to do almost in any situation, and very seldom makes mental errors. And, you know, he just gets out there and gets the job done. You have to come out and beat Walter Ray Williams.
Yeah,
he's not going to give it to you.
Not going to beat himself very often.
This is the lane. If he makes a mistake, it'll be on the left-hand lane. He's been light here twice. If he makes a mistake and goes high, he could get the big split by trying to force it up into the pocket.
Why'd you call that? I'll tell you what.
Got away with it. So you can see it coming. You know, he's light, and you're going to make an adjustment. And he made the wrong move. And if anything, he probably should have stayed where he was and he released the ball slightly different or changed ball speed. But he tried to go more direct. The ball hooked early and he hit the nose.
So the adjustment might have been just to soften up a hair?
Yeah, well, he knows his game a lot better than I do. But what I would have done in the same situation would have been just change ball speeds.
Well, Marc McDowell still has a little bit of life if he can get something going here in the 8th frame.
And very quickly up on the approach. Before Walter Ray even got off the approach, Marc McDowell was up there. And that's the shot he wants to throw right there.
And he carries
That's the best shot he's made in a while.
And it's NHL hockey. Will the Ducks sing the blues in St. Louis? It's the Anaheim Mighty Ducks versus the St. Louis Blues, led by Brett Hull. Friday, October 27th, 8:30 Eastern Time. That's 5:30 on the coast.
Still in a match. Here we go. 9th frame. The key shot for Marc McDowell. If he has any chance at all to win this match, he has to strike here.
Down by 35. Can make it 25. Oh, good shot, but leaves the 4-pin. Came off the hand clean.
Came off the hand clean. He made a good shot. And obviously the lane on the left is the more difficult of the two to get good ball reaction. You see his wife, Patty, saying, well, honey, we're going to go home and nothing's going to be any different. You still got your son. You still got me. Everything's okay.
Yeah, and he's going to have $3,500 more, but it's not what he was looking at.
Well, it's been a good week. He hasn't been very successful in his last 2 telecasts, but just to get to the top 5 on the PBA Tour, you've done something.
Walter Ray cruising along, having no trouble in lane 34, but he gets to finish on 33. We're still a little of a mystery there.
Good chance for him to experiment a little bit. Since the match is out of the wood as far as, anything happening as far as he can possibly lose it now, it's fair here and the game's over, basically. And I don't expect him to miss the 10-pin. He's probably missed one in the last 10 years or so.
Cross lane at the 10-pin, different ball. Straight at it, no trouble.
We're going to take a look at the style of a great player, Walter Ray. And look at it from behind. Watch the swing, how he starts it to the inside, bumps it out a little bit, and then tucks it back in near his hip. And that creates leverage. And look at his left arm, how he gets all that effort into the release point.
You look at the space between the right hand and the left hand.
Yeah, and I've watched him pitch horseshoes. He looks the same way when he pitches horseshoes. Well, I'll tell you what, that bodes ill will for the next guy, Steve Wilson, in the next match, because he's figured out lane 33, and he's got them both now. So
I'm wondering physically, if I could put my left arm back and my right arm up and have them as close as he's got the two of them together there as he lets it go.
Well, at your age, you probably have to go see a chiropractor afterwards.
I definitely would, yes.
You could probably start that way. All right. Walter Ray. Well, maybe he hasn't got it figured out. He's confused. You can see the look on his face. See when he turned around there, and you can see it at home, folks. When he turned around, that look on his face was, how could that ball go high?
So does he practice on the spare and give up the pin count?
I would. I'd throw for the strike ball here. We'll see what he does. I think he's going to shoot for the strike ball. He's going to give it a shot and see what happens here. Yeah, he is. He's throwing for the strike.
Yep, gave up the pins. Says field goal. It's good. 3 more points. And it's a win. 233. Marc McDowell, the best he can get is 212.
And if you're at home wondering why he did that, he's lining up for the next match. And the pin count doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what you bowl, just as long as you bowl a little more than the other guy. That's all that matters. High score wins. Doesn't matter what the score is.
And in a situation where you're dropping pins at the end of each game, that's a very intelligent thing to do.
No question about it. Now he's got a pretty good idea in his mind anyway. He'll be a little more confident when he gets up on lane 33. It'll be interesting to see what Steve Wilson does is determining which lane he wants to start on and whether he puts Walter Ray Williams finishing on lane 33.
And that's just what you would do, right?
No, I probably just wouldn't want to bowl Walter Ray Williams. But yeah, I'd probably make him finish on 33. In other words, I would start the match on 33 and let Walter Ray finish on 33, and hopefully he would be less confident. It's kind of hard to figure Walter Ray without any confidence because
yeah, it sure is.
Always very confident player. As you see, Marc McDowell just finishing it out.
And finishes with an even 200. Started fast, but he's kind of ran out of gas right out of that. So it's a 33-pin victory. Walter Ray Williams Jr. will be back with average builders and a blindfold shot. You have to see this. In the sport of bowling, many of us have a tendency to become very target-oriented. We're trying to get the ball to go to whatever the target is. And that has a tendency with many of us to start steering the ball toward that target. Also, many of us really react to the pressure of the moment. It can cause fear to come right in the heart here, and that can make us steer the ball toward target or just not get it to target at all. For tonight's average builder, if you'll try it in practice, it'll clean up all those steer shots. If you've got the courage to use it in competition, it'll remove all fear. What is it? Well, it's what I call my eyes shut shot. Many times over my 20-year career on tour, what I would do in practice is as I got to the peak of my backswing, my left foot was ready to start my slide. I was looking at my target, whatever it was, let's say the second arrow. I would simply shut my eyes right here and come straight through with the shot. And what that would do, as I did it game after game in practice, it would get right in here to be my target. Out there it wasn't. Going straight through here was the target right there, and it just cleaned up that shot. Then if I had the courage to do it in a pressure-packed situation, as Joe Furpo has done recently on the PBA Tour, it would remove all fear. Let's take a look at what it looks like in actual practice. Here I am, starting a normal approach, looking at the target. Right here, the shut the eyes. The hand goes whistling right through. The follow-through comes straight up. Now, I know what many of you were thinking. You're thinking, I'm going to hit my ankle, but you really aren't. All you've got to think of, if you want to clean up that shot in practice, is shut your eyes at this point and go straight through it. If you've got the courage to do it in competition, it'll remove the fear in those pressure-packed situations. Next week, we're going to Richmond, Virginia. It's the $250,000 Dick Weber Classic from Arthur Ashe Arena. 7:30, November the 1st, Wednesday night. And of course, we'll have another average builder. And there was no fear in Walter Ray Williams Jr. as he won the opening match, 233-200 over Marc McDowell. Our second match, we've got a young Steve Wilson going against a veteran, Walter Ray Williams Jr. We'll be back with that match. Don't go away. And we're back at Marcel's Olympic Bowl. 27-year-old Steve Wilson is going to make him finish on lane 33, where if he had any trouble, that was it.
No question about it. And this is really a great decision by a young player. And, you know, he hasn't had a lot of television experience, but he's pretty relaxed. He was making good shots in practice, and he's got his hands full with a great player, two-time bowler of the year, Walter Ray Williams.
Well, he moved in deeper there on that lane 33.
He did, and he made a great shot, a great opening shot, and that's the way you want to play, Walter Ray. You've got to put the pressure on him early. You don't want him to get up there with that free swing and let everything happen nice and loose, because he'll just run away from you with 4 or 5 strikes out of the box.
So what's he going to do on the left lane?
This would be fun to watch. I'm not even sure if Walter Ray is positive of what he's going to do right here. He's got that look in his eyes like, you can see him looking down the lane right now. He's looking down the lane now. What am I going to do here?
Well, I think he ought to take a page from Steve Wilson, you know, maybe just parallel everything in a little bit.
It's very possible he'll do that. He's capable of playing anywhere on the lane. He can make most any shot you want him to make, but he's more comfortable outside. He likes to play out. A little more side rotation there to get it down the lane and get more back end. And
good
maybe
shot.
Maybe a little late, the 10-pin only, but it was a great shot.
So, grabs the other ball, shoots the 10-pin, not known as dead-eye for nothing.
Yeah, well, and, you know, it's kind of interesting because the strategy, if that's what it is, of Steve Wilson, so far has worked well. Walter Ray did not strike in his opening shot on lane 33, which would have given Walter Ray even more confidence. Now Steve Wilson...
And an early 10-pin lead.
Right. Steve Wilson with an opportunity to reverse that, take a 10 or 20 pin lead if he should go back-to-back strikes here. Be a great start for the young man against a great player.
Oh, light the 7 pin.
He's playing a little deeper than all the other players. By that I mean he's playing more toward the center of the lane, somewhere between the second and third arrow, it looks like. And we haven't seen anybody in that far up to this point. No one has even made a shot that far.
And even last night they weren't in there.
No one. Everybody played out. Some of them were in that far and throwing it out near the channel, but he's not getting it out that far. The lanes were hooking a lot more last night, I think, than they are right now. The players were playing a variety of different shots, and we're going to look at his style. And something unique in his arm swing is watch what happens to his wrist at the very peak of the backswing. You see he's got it cupped right now. But watch what he does at the top of the backswing. See how it relaxes and it opens up? But watch what he does at the bottom. He brings it back under and gets back into that strong position for the good rotation.
That's almost a little bit like, it hit it, but it didn't knock it over, like Dave Husted did when he first came on tour when he was 18 years old.
Oh, really? See, I don't remember that. Dave Husted, when he was 18, was, you know, what happened 2 weeks ago? That's my problem.
Well, you know,
I remember he beat me in the BPAA U.S. Open.
With some of these things, we remember decades past, but not the immediate past.
That's right. Yeah, good cover by Steve. He's making good shots. He get a good look at his wife, Sherry.
And they were just recently married, I think just last summer.
She's really a sweet young lady. We were introduced to her just before we went on the air. And Marc McDowell is married to a lovely lady, and so is Steve Wilson.
I asked Walter Ray how much longer he was planning on bowling.
Well, you bowled quite a long time, so did Earl, and there's several other players. David Ozil's still bowling pretty strong. I think another 5 years is reasonable, and if I can keep myself together and not lose my physical game too much and my mental game can hang in there, I think I can continue bowling for maybe another 10 years. As you know, Ernie Schlegel's still bowling over 50.
Well, Walter carries the light walnut shot there.
Well, it's kind of interesting that he mentioned Ernie Schlegel over 50 and still going well. Ernie Schlegel works hard in keeping himself physically fit to play. It's a tough game when you get to be that age. It's hard on your body.
What's amazing about Ernie is he almost does better on the national tour than he does the senior tour.
I think you're right. And John Handegard had another great week out here with the kids.
Boy, he's got those pins rolling around hitting the other pins, but they're not knocking them over.
Well, fast racks. We call those fast racks, Mike. And back in the days when you had pin boys, those would have been strikes back when you were learning to bowl.
Right. You're exactly right. I used to set pins now and then. He was a real experienced bowler with a wood ball, though, Earl, I'll tell you.
It's not often you see a player that can be successful with that much of a little flip at the top and at the bottom in his wrist. In fact, I've never seen a really great player do this. It's a very unique style of play. Obviously, it works very well for Steve Wilson. That little flip at the top and the bottom. It's kind of unique.
Well, it didn't work very well there as he leaves the 6-7-10. Steve Wilson digging himself a big hole right here in the fifth frame. Our second match, Walter Ray already leading by 12 going into that frame. He has to make this, Earl.
He's got to give it a shot, but the important thing is he has to remember he's got a lot of frames to play yet. And Walter Ray still has to bowl 3 more times on lane 33, so it's not over by a long ways.
Well, he gave it a shot. Got right at that 6-pin, just missed. And Walter Ray up quickly wants to pounce on that open.
Well, if anybody can do it, he can. And if you're wondering where all the lefties are this week, let me give you an idea of why they may not be here for you. Last week we had 4 lefties in the top 5, and a couple of weeks before that we had 5 out of 5, that kind of thing. This week, the PBA lane man, week after week, try to give the players a different shot to play with, something that's challenging, move it around on the lane and vary the condition. This week they used what they call a short oil condition. And when they do that, what happens then, the ball wants to hook a lot, so the players, a lot of them, went to urethane and plastic balls rather than the resin reactive bowling balls. So not as much oil was taken out of the head area, the first part of the lane by the right-handers, and it carried down the lane better, so it helped make the right side more playable. But there weren't very many lefties in the field, so they couldn't carry the oil down. So the right-handers dominated. Lefties couldn't keep up.
And right now, Walter A. Williams is dominating as he leads by 47 pins in this match. We'll be back for the completion of this right after these messages. here for the PBA at Marcel's Olympic Bowl in our 14th year overall. We'll take a look now at our last 10 champions because it's quite a list of PBA immortals led by Marshall Holman in 1985.
Tommy Bowker, who is from the New York area, won it in 1986, and the only lefty to ever win this tournament, Mike, Scott Devers.
In 1987 and 88, Rob Palumbi Jr., one of our no-slide bowlers, and in 89, the great Joe Berardi.
Someone you'll see today on the telecast, Roger Bowker, won this tournament in 1990 and again in 1993.
And David Oziel won in 91, en route to Player of the Year with Marc McDowell in 92, also en route to Player of the Year. And last year, Norm Duke, he was Player of the Year also. So I guess if you win this tournament, you become Player of the Year.
Well, I didn't know it was quite that big an event, but that sounds pretty possible to me. I'd like to see that happen. Wouldn't that be nice to be Player of the Year, only have to win one tournament?
Steve Wilson trying to get back on track here in the 6th frame. And the pins just won't cooperate. He leaves the hard 10.
Well, he's made a lot of good shots, in my opinion. He's moving around on the lane. He's adjusting well, and he seems to be trying to different things, and maybe a little deeper with that shot, a little more ball speed. Just can't seem to carry anything.
And just one mistake there in the 5th frame, and he paid the full penalty. Converts the 10-pin, and we're already getting into the stage of looking to get, if he strikes out, 223. Walter Ray going right now at almost a 230 clip. So
I'm impressed with Steve Wilson, though. He's made a lot of good shots, as I mentioned, and he seems to be pretty calm and pretty comfortable out there. He's thinking well. You can see the good, the steady eyes. He's not blinking a lot or anything, so he doesn't show a lot of nerves. He seems to be rolling the ball well. Just can't get the corners out. Another bad break. Can't put any pressure on Walter Ray Williams at all.
And he gives a wry smile there and says, well,
it's not
some
my day.
days are like that,
It's not my day.
At the 7-pin, cross lane with a different ball. Taking time on every shot.
Spares really haven't been a problem. The players haven't had any problem with spares. That's why it was such a unique thing to see Marc McDowell whiz that spare early on in that match with Walter Ray Williams. It was just a lack of concentration more than anything else.
Well, Walter Ray, is he going to have trouble maintaining the concentration for the rest of this match?
No, he's a killer. He's got that killer attitude, and he wants to beat you as bad as he can beat you. He's trying to strike every ball he throws. He never backs down, never lets up.
Not happy with that hand release, leaves the 2-5.
Not an easy spare. He has a substantial lead. You can hear him talking to himself.
And he is mic'd, so we
didn't say it very loud, though, did he?
Better. And he converts the 2 and the 5. We see that list of our championship round appearances. Dave DeIntremont leading everybody, and Walter Ray and Parker and Mike Albee all tied with 6. DeIntremont's having quite a year this year.
He's having an outstanding year. He made the match play again this week. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't seem to really get it going and carry the corners. He did that a lot right there with DeIntremont. I watched him last night. He'd make good shot, leave 4-pin or the 10-pin.
Well, no.
I think he overhooked it.
That wasn't it. He's thinking about the Indians. That's what he's thinking about right now.
What?
DeIntremont, he's from Cleveland. He's like me. He's an Indians fan.
I see. Okay.
So his concentration was distracted this week. That's it.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was. Steve Wilson trying to get concentration to get a few strikes here, and trailing by 45 with
well, you always learn, no matter
2.5
what.
frames to go.
Even if you're getting trounced, as he might be right now, you can learn. You keep out there, you keep working, making shots, and you learn from this experience.
Well, he learned for a strike there. He had a lot of success on the regional tour. I asked him, what's the difference between the regional and national tours?
Well, the guys out here are so much more experienced, and they're a lot tougher. It takes a lot more mental toughness out here from day to day, as opposed to a regional only a weekend, and that's the biggest difference. These guys are just extremely tough.
And we see Walter Ray leading by 45 pins, 9th frame. And finally, one of those light hits carried. He gets a double. He can still get 212. Well, Walter Ray, he would have a disastrous frame here, and still not dead yet.
Well, I'm betting on Walter Ray.
Oh, well, you're a gambler, I'll tell you.
I don't think he's going to make that kind of mistake. He's just locked in on lane 34. Just whether matter or not, he has something drastic happen on 33. That's the only place it could happen, and by then it's probably too late.
Another solid 10, 2 in a row. Grabs that spare ball.
with a spare here. He's going at a 226 pace. The best Steve Wilson can do is 212. So Walter Ray not only would have to have a bad frame, but he'd have to lose a lot of count at the same time. It's possible. Walter Ray doesn't very often give anything away. I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw this one a little extra hard and on the high hard one, the Ernie Schlegel high hard one at him right
Well,
here.
he needs 9 pins to shut him out.
A little more ball speed. Boom. See ya.
Got 10. He only needed 9.
You only need a 9, so
Page
you know.
says, well,
Paige took that deep breath of.
yeah, she's definitely used to that because this is Walter Ray's 75th television appearance. And going into today, he was 59 and 61, so now he's won 2. He's even.
That's right, yeah. You know, his ambition, he's got a whole bunch of second place. I think he's like 23
second place finishes.
His ambition is just get even. Get as many wins as he's got second. I think he's like 15 and 23 or something like that.
That's right. Yeah. Did you ever get even? No, you were behind by 1.
I had to bowl the senior tour to finally get even. That's the only way I got even.
Tour did it for you, huh?
Yeah. 45 and 45, but it took me 3 years on the senior, 4 years on the senior.
Oh, so you had how many seconds on the senior? 2 or 3?
2 on the 2 seconds and 4 first. So
2 seconds. Okay. And he converts the 7 pin. Finishes with 226. Steve Wilson now finishing it out. Again, bowling for experience. He'll take home $4,500. Still not a bad week's paycheck. At 27 years old, it probably looks pretty good. It looked pretty good at 50-something. There he goes.
Best shot he's made all day, and it was really a good one. He finally got lined up a little deeper, you think?
Well, no, actually, you see him move his hand. He moved it this way, and I was assuming that he meant he moved another board right to get it up there flush.
I see. Okay.
But maybe. What do I know?
I'm fascinated by his wrist action. Really, I've never seen anyone do this on their strike ball consistently. I've seen guys do it on their spare balls, but not on their strike balls.
Looks over and says, well, if I just made that adjustment a little sooner, this 4 in a row, I could have caught this guy.
Well, you know, that's also a byproduct of bowling Walter Ray Williams, Jr. When you bowl Walter Ray Williams, Jr. or a Marshall Holman or a Marc Roth, or Mike Durbin, people of that stature, you can't afford to make mistakes. And so when you know that, when going in, you feel more pressure. You feel like if I make a mistake, the match is over.
And he finishes with 5 in a row to finish out at 212, but still comes up 14 pins short. Walter Ray Williams, Jr. So, Walter Ray Williams, Jr. has won our second match. We'll be back with Championship Frame, a review of our other 3 messages after this. John Mazza is back to defend his title in what some have called the fastest 90 minutes in bowling. That's next week in the $250,000 Dick Weber Classic from the Arthur Ashe Center in Richmond, Virginia, Wednesday, November 1st at 7:30 Eastern Time.
Boy, I'm looking forward to that, Mike. It should be a lot of fun. Now let's take another look at the qualifiers. In 6th place, Bob Learn Jr., who went from 23rd all the way up to 6th. In 7th, Brian Goebel, this year's Tucson Open champ, had another good week. Ernie Schlegel, the old veteran, still hanging in there with the young guys. And John Hanegard, who will represent the senior tour in the AMF Dick Weber Classic next week. In 10th place, Jeff Lizzie. He was 24th last week, but we only had 20 finalists.
Just missed out that time. In 11th, Jack Jurek got his first victory this year in the Tums Classic. And a veteran on the tour, former national champion Warren Nelson. Steve Jaros, he's won twice, both of them in Oklahoma, Edmond, Oklahoma. Mike Edwards, he was the leader here after 2 rounds. And Robbie Porter, he got his first appearance in match play this week, Earl.
And in 16th, Mark Williams. He's had a great year, but no wins since 1988. Jim Johnson right behind him. He was in the hunt until the final 8 games. Ron Williams completes the trio of Williams in match play this week. Randy Peterson, the smooth-stroking righty, who won earlier this summer. And in 20th, Bill Oakes, who rolled the first 300 of this event. There were 6 altogether.
And in 21st, Steve Wishner. He's a regional pro, and he made the top 24 this week. Jeff Bourne has a steady style. He keeps him in contention almost every week. And a Player of the Year candidate right here, Dave D'Entremont, was 23rd. Rounding on our field, Jimmy Johnson, the son of the great Hall of Famer, Don Johnson. And, of course, our alternate is our statistician. He missed by just 3 pins this week, Earl Philip Rigener. And the final score of our second match, 226 for Walter Ray over Steve Wilson with 212. Our semifinal match is coming up right away. Roger Bowker, he's won twice here. Walter Ray, he's won 2 games tonight. Stay with us. And we're looking at the night sights of Rochester, New York. Great community here in New York City, or New York State. I'm getting confused here, Earl, but I'm not confused about who's visiting with us right now. Brian Goebels won 7 PBA Tour. He's going to help us analyze this semifinal match. How'd you do this week?
Did pretty well, actually. I've struggled this fall, so it was good to get back on my feet this week. Finished 7th. That's good week.
7th, good week. What'd you get for that?
2,800.
2,800.
Yeah,
okay.
a call from the wife telling me good bowling.
She said, about time, huh? We need some money coming in.
That's right.
Walter Ray has been coming into a lot of strikes.
Well, Roger Bowker, who has finished higher in the standings than Walter Ray, has decided that he wants to finish on lane 33. In other words, he will finish the 10th frame first in this match, and the winner of this match obviously goes on to bowl David Traber for the championship.
And the very interested spectator watching this match is probably Ricky Ward. As if Walter Ray wins this, Ricky Ward is in next week's tournament. As Roger Bowker leads the solid 10, opening up on lane 34.
Roger, another outstanding spare shooter. The top players on the tour, I think, Brian, are all good spare shooters. They very seldom miss. You don't, those are the guys that fill the frames in between the strikes with spares are the guys that lead tournaments.
Yeah, nowadays it's kind of unknown because there's so many strikes being thrown, but...
And he missed it. He's stuck on the approach. You can see him looking down there.
Did you see that? He went around front of the ball return to shoot that spare.
It's kind of interesting he would do that. We're going to take a look at the style of Roger Bowker, and it's kind of unique. You see him holding the ball out in front only with the right hand. The left hand down by his side. And he says the reason he does this is he can start the ball on line, swing it down the line he wants the ball to go on. If he uses his left hand in it, he tends to push the ball out to the right. And here's that spare shot, and the ball just never skidded as he expected it to. And now he's a little bit confused mentally right now. He missed the spare, an easy spare for Roger Bowker, the 10 pin, and it looks like he's a little flustered.
Yeah, that kind of unnerved him a little bit right there.
No question. Tough spare here, the 2-8. How would you shoot this week, Brian?
Well, Roger's probably going to throw at it pretty straight. He's probably just going to go up the boards pretty straight.
Off the strike lane, kind of?
Yeah, a little bit. He'll move right.
Trouble? No. Yeah. Wow.
0 for 2, and Ricky Ward is kind of liking this, I think.
Yeah, he's leading the cheers right now.
What we're talking about is if Ricky Ward, if Walter Ray Williams should win this match, Ricky Ward gets into the $250,000 AMF Classic next week.
Dick Weber Classic, right.
We're going to show you some of those numbers in a minute here. Walter Ray really aggressive. You see him running that out before it hardly left his hand.
He can lock this match up in the first half a game. He got 3 or 4 in a row right away.
He also knows that Roger Bowker is capable of going right off the sheet also and shooting 258. Even though he has open 18 in the second, 250 is still a possibility, and he's done that all week. That's the reason Roger's in the top 5 bowlers in the second tournament, because he could shoot the big numbers.
And we see some of the people that are eligible for the AMF Dick Weber Classic, led by Norm Duke and Brian Goebel there. You're looking forward to that next week, right?
I like to see that. Yeah.
And right there, David Traber, we'll see in the next match, is also eligible. And Ricky Ward is hanging on to that last spot right now, saying, "Get him, Walter."
I can tell Walter's on that left lane and started hooking. When he first tried to hit it, he moved in a little bit and tried to hook it a little more, but that didn't work for him. You can tell he moved a little right, sped it up, and I think that's pretty vintage Walter.
So he changed ball speeds really more than anything else.
He's going with that little straighter at him, a little more power, and I think it's helped him.
Well, I think Bowker's going to get something going. They moved in on the lane, and I talked to Roger before we went on the air, right after the practice, and he said, the shot is moving very quickly, and it might be that I'll have to play inside, and he wasn't very happy about that because he qualified to this point, 42 games bowling out near the channel and throwing the big hook. Now he's trying to play inside where he's not comfortable. And you can see where he's standing there, Brian. Look at this.
Yeah, he's getting way deep, laying it down as far left as he can possibly get it.
And he says, "I'm on the board." We got a mark.
Playing up to the crowd a little bit. Now he's going after another bowling ball, something else that he feels he can maybe get in play, hopefully.
Well, this place notoriously carries the best when you can play outside and keep the ball at a straighter angle to the pocket. And the guys who've had to move in a little bit, you're gonna lose some carry.
That was a good shot.
Well, now he's saying, why didn't I start with that ball?
Well, we'll find out if he makes it work next frame. Then he might say, why didn't I start with that ball? But right now, one shot does not a game make. Walter Ray still the guy to beat. Strike, spare, strike, making good shots.
And we see his TV record right there. Current. Right now, he's just trying to get over 500, and he gets a double and takes a bigger lead. What does he have, by 32 right now? Yeah.
Well, you can hear him at the foul line. Like you mentioned earlier, he does have a microphone on, so we can hear what he's saying. And right there, all that came out of his mouth was, carry. He knew he'd hit the pocket, just whether or not he was going to get the 10-pin.
Back on lane 33, the only lane that's given him any trouble at all. And as Brian has said, he's got it figured out now.
You can tell Walter's got that, he's shifted gears, and he's just throwing the high heater now, and he's just jamming it in the pocket every hole shot.
Well, Roger, now or never, don't you think?
Right, yeah, he's trailing by 42 pins. We're in the 5th frame, and he's got to put 2 or 3 strikes in a row together. There, and it carries. He's had great success here at Marcel's. I asked him why.
Because basically I feel like I'm at home. The lane's hooked pretty good here. It's what I grew up on. It's what I've always bowled on. And everybody's going hard and straight, but I'm probably going to be circling through the gutter and getting it back.
Well, that was before he practiced and found out that shot wasn't necessarily here today.
Well, he's basically using the same arc. He's just moved everything left. Don't you think, Brian? He's just kind of moved everything left?
Yeah, I think he's searching for a little stronger back end.
Wow. Roger's not dead yet. That's 3 in a row. He's cut that lead down to 22. Can he hang on? Well, we'll find out if he can. You stay with us right after this. On ESPN as Carol Giannotti attempts to defend her title in the LPBT Hammer Eastern Open from Baltimore, Maryland, tomorrow night at 12:30 a.m. Well, I think Roger's got Walter Ray's attention at least.
Mm-hmm. Those girls stay up late to bowl, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do. Boy, that one kind of backed up.
Well, I think what Brian said is very apropos. He's actually really overthrowing the ball now a little bit.
You know, after the break of the commercial, it's real easy to throw one too slow. And Walter did it last game once when he left the 2.45 after a commercial, and he's done it again. He's just tried to keep the speed up and let it go a little.
So he was thinking about that. Maybe he just kind of forced it a little bit.
Here's another look at that, Brian. What do you see here? Anything?
Well, you know, he looks pretty good through the line. It just looks like he really extended hard, and when he did that, he just got it out just a little bit farther than he wanted to.
Well, that's all forward roll, too. That's no side roll.
That's what I was noticing also. The ball had end over end, and it just doesn't hook very much when you do that.
Well, he's gone to the Dick Weber frozen rope type shot here, I'll tell you.
But he can't get that 4.57 out like Dick Weber. Nobody can do that.
You know, Roger can get right back in this with 2 more strikes.
No question.
You guys have said how it looks there's more oil today though than there has been throughout the week, and you can tell that where everybody's been playing all week.
Well, it's down to 11.
It's definitely tighter, and that's why Rogers moved in on lane 34. He's looking for that fresh back end that nobody's playing on, so his ball will hit a lot harder.
And our Pro-Am winner this week, Todd Bickford. So I don't know what that was worth, do you? I mean,
what, Pro-Am?
Yeah.
No, I don't, Mike. I'm not here when they have the Pro-Am, unfortunately. I just get here for the match play. I get here for the top 24 and get to watch the guys that are bowling really good.
Yeah, they tell us it was worth $2,000, so that's a nice little check there. To cut it within 1 pin. Wow! He hasn't missed with that ball.
That was a great shot. Well, this is what he did. I mentioned earlier he might go off the sheet. Well, he went 1 more frame before he started this string, but this is what he's done all throughout the week. That's why he's in 2nd place going into the televised portion of the tournament. He was capable of stringing large strings as well. And that's another reason why Walter Ray wanted to get something going and build up a lead on this guy, because he knew what Roger could do in this situation.
And that ball kind of fell back at the pocket, too.
Definitely, that right lane looks like it's a little tighter, tougher to get the ball to hook.
I mean, that shot looked very familiar to me.
You know, you got the 5 out, Mike.
True, that's true. At the 7th pin. Has it.
Well, Ricky Ward is starting to get nervous again, I think.
Yes, right. He said, Walter, come on, boy. You're my horse. You're right here. One pin. We're in the 9th frame. The difference is, though, that Roger's working on 5 in a row.
Well, Roger possible 248, and Walter Ray still a possibility of 269. So
239, Earl.
239, excuse me. So, but Roger Bowker really holds his fate in his own hands. What he does now, these next couple of frames, determine what's going to happen in this match.
If he doesn't strike out to lock him out, it'll be interesting to see if Walter moves over a little bit in the 10th frame.
This shot right here is pretty important. He gets this one right here, and the pressure's back on Walter's shoulders, I think.
Well, he takes a lead for the first time in the match if he can strike here. Oh, did he throw that well?
Extremely well. I'll tell you what, if he should lose, it doesn't look like he's going to. I'm speaking of Mr. Bowker. It'll come back to the first 2 frames when he missed 2 easy spares. And here's another look at that last shot, Brian. It looked pretty good to me.
I think nothing wrong with that one.
If he didn't miss those spares, though, he may not have switched balls, Earl.
That's a good point. Good point, yeah. So sometimes circumstances dictate what you're going to do, whether you like it or not. You switch balls trying to find something, and you fall into something. And Roger definitely fell into something good right here.
Up by 9, can make it 19 with the first strike in the 10th. Boy, that pin came flying off the wall, but it fell a little short and off the back of the pin deck. Walter knows the score.
Well, Roger does too, and what's important right now in Roger's mind, okay, I didn't get the strike, and here's another look at it. I didn't get the strike. You see the head pin go all the way to the wall and come back and just miss the 10. But I've got to pick up the spare and then get a full count, because count is important now.
Well, he's turning the ball more at the spare, it seems like.
He's so deep at that spare. He's been deep all week shooting that spare, but it's almost scary.
Did he move around in front of the ball?
I don't think he knows it's the 10th frame. He sat down. He didn't even know it was the 10th frame. You see that?
Yep. I don't think he got in. I'm not sure if he got all the way in front of it all week, but I thought he was bowling on the other lane there for a minute.
Looked like a Mark Williams shot sometimes, huh? Count's important. All right, 227. Walter Ray has to have at least the first one, 9 in a spare.
Well, Walter's had trouble his last 2 shots on this lane.
Well, if he misses, he'll probably miss high, because that's what he did last time when he needed it. Go.
Oh! Well,
we could have a tie.
We could have a tie. Comes down now after 42 games. Walter Ray's bowled 2 games on television asking for a re-rack, and it comes down to 1 shot.
Yeah, and again, you know, I know this is not important in Walter Ray's mind, but it is in Ricky Ward's mind. The $250,000 that AMF is putting up next week is very important to all the bowlers on the tour, and Ricky Ward is sweating this shot just as much as Walter Ray Williams is. If he strikes, he wins. If he gets 9 spare, he wins. And Ricky Ward's in the... Got that one a little right. That's a winner.
Well, he's got to make it.
Pick that up.
He's got to make it.
That's right. He's got to make it. If he misses it, we have a tie. Well,
what happens then?
2-frame roll-off. 9th and 10th frame.
Well, he hasn't missed a 10-pin yet today, but this is for the win and to move on.
And Roger's going to look back. If he loses, and remember those first 2 frames.
Good. Turns his back on it. Walter Ray showing his experience and his mettle. And they love it here in Rochester. They love Roger Bowker, too. He finishes with $5,500, but Walter Ray moves on for the win. We'll be back with Championship Frame after this. And now it's time for Championship Frame. I wanted to put it in earlier, but it goes now in the opening match. This is a strike in the 7th frame by Walter Ray as he faced Marc McDowell.
Now, this put McDowell in a situation where he had to strike out to have any chance at all. And Walter Ray, by striking here, put himself in position where he could always control the destiny of this match, and that was the winner as far as he was concerned.
And he won that first match as he defeated Marc McDowell 233 to 200. Was really lined up on that right lane throughout that entire first game. That qualified him to move on and face Steve Wilson, and now he's in the 10th frame.
Well, this one explains itself. 10th frame, he needs a strike really to end the match, shut it out. Steve Wilson sitting on the bench watching, knowing that if this is a strike, it's all over, and there it is. 10 in the pit. Walter E. Williams goes right on through this one. No problems.
A little closer this time, 226 to 212. But now he moves on for the semifinal match, and that was all he could handle as he needed to convert this 10 pin to win.
Well, Bowker dug a big hole, couldn't get out of it, but he did put a lot of pressure on Walter Ray, and this is what he had to do to win the match. Pick up the 10 pin, the last shot of the match, to win it by 1 pin.
And he hit it straight, dead flush in the face. He knew it, walked away from it. He's a victor, 228 to 227. Our title match now will take on David Traber, a red-hot Walter Ray. Stay with us. John Mazza is back to defend his title in what some have called the fastest 90 minutes in bowling. That's next week in the $250,000 Dick Weber Classic from the Arthur Ashe Center in Richmond, Virginia, Wednesday, November 1st at 7:30 Eastern Time. Well, they're ready, Earl. Our championship match. And Traber's going to make Walter Ray finish on the left lane, but it looks like he's figured that out now.
Yeah, I think this is more of an offensive move than it is defense. I think Traber is just comfortable on lane 33. That's the lane that we feel is the tightest. It doesn't hook as much on the back end, and he throws extremely hard and straight, and there you can see what he can do to that 10 pin. He didn't even hesitate, Marc. This guy throws, I think he's up there with, he throws harder than Mark Ross used to throw. I really do. He can really get it down there in a hurry.
Walter Ray, get up there, he says. And it did, but it kind of hit mushy.
Mushy?
Mushy.
Well, mushy. That's a good word. I've never heard that used in relation to a bowling ball hitting before, but...
Well, you didn't watch my ball that much, though.
Only the 7. Look at that match in match play, Mike.
Walter Ray rumbles it down there at the spare. Neither one of these guys take a whole lot of time.
No, they don't. We should have a fast match here, and I expect to see a pretty good score, especially out of David Traber. I think he's going to shoot a number at Walter Ray. If he can just carry the 10 pin, David Traber might shoot in there. He might shoot 300.
Ooh, a little trip forward. A little softer speed there on that shot.
Walter Ray just seems to be moving with as the lanes change. He seems to be adjusting ball speeds, rotations, things of that nature, trying different things. And he's always had just enough to win the match. He's going along right now to 229 average. His first 3 matches. This guy right here averaged 238 for 42 games to get here. And that's the only thing that stops this guy. He's going to hit the pocket every ball, just whether or not he carries the corner pin.
He really fired that one. I wish we had a judge guy. He might be up there with Mark Warlord or something on these shots, I'll tell you.
Yeah. And we'll take a look at his ability to make spares. He's right up there. Anybody can throw hard and straight as he can. You don't miss very many spares. We're going to take a look at the style here of David Traber. 4-stepper, the only one in the top 5, uses 4 steps. Now watch what he does at the foul line. This is where he creates a lot of that ball speed. He plants his left foot. You can see he doesn't have a real high back. He plants the left. See how straight his left leg is? He just uses all that and pivots around his left hip to create ball speed. Muscles
and strength and strength that he has.
Tremendous upper body strength. Yeah.
Whack.
Now he wears those pins out. Boy, I'll tell you what.
Well, Walter can take a quick lead if he can figure out lane 34. He's just been light lately. And it went high. Boy, he was light, and then goes high.
A little different release, don't you think?
He said, look at that.
It looked really like he got on the side of that one. He got a little more side turn on it, which made the ball roll up high in the hit pin. He's, like I say, he's trying something, and he's in real trouble now because Traber isn't going to let up. Come on, get two. Major mistake there.
Well, Walter Ray's not happy right now, but Ricky Ward is extremely happy because we see that he sneaks in to that last spot for next week's AMF Dick Weber Classic. Doesn't matter who wins this match because both of these guys are eligible.
But it matters to them, I'll tell you. Walter Ray is truly confused now. And again, the lanes, as they go through any kind of a transition, he has to adjust to them. And he just doesn't seem to be able to figure out exactly where he wants the ball to be and how it should break up to the pocket. Whereas Traber, doesn't matter. He's just throwing darts right at him.
At the 2-4-5-8, known as the dinner bucket, Walter, Jedi himself, hits every pin with the ball.
You know, I'll tell you what, Walter Ray might take a lesson here from David Traber right now because the lanes are becoming difficult to get a good ball reaction. Maybe he should take a page out of what he's trying to do and throw it hard and straight. Walter Ray is very capable of doing that.
As hard as Dave?
Not as hard as Dave, but he can definitely go end over end and up at him with good ball speed. There's no question, and Walter Ray used to be extremely good at that. He's so accurate anyway.
He says thank you. That ball carried. He was looking at the 10-pin all the way. But that increases his lead, as we're only through 4 frames, to 24 pins. And Walter Ray staring at the other end of the stick right now. 23 seconds. He doesn't want another second, Earl.
No, he sure doesn't. That's a lot of second places. A lot of opportunities gone by the wayside to win out here on the tour. And wins don't come that often for most of the players. Walter Ray, one of those guys that happens to be fortunate enough to win a lot of times, 15 to be exact.
Oh, he looks solid all the way.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you what. I talked to him about what he tries to do, what he thinks about. I said, what's the key to your game? And he said, well, you know, I've had a tough year. I've really been struggling. And he said, my wife and I were looking at some films the day before this tournament started of him bowling. As you see, Walter Ray leave the solid 8. But Dave Traber, he said, we were looking at films, and my wife picked out something I was doing wrong, and it was the key, and that's why I'm here. He said, I was starting the ball down, and my elbow was going out to the right in my backswing, and that made me spin the ball, get on top of it, and I couldn't make the ball hit, and I couldn't control it. He says, she noticed this, and she's the one that noticed it, so she gets all the credit. And now he says, all I think about is getting my elbow in where it belongs and having it brush my hip going back and back through. And he says, I get a great ball reaction now. I'm back to being able to bowl and make good shots as I did in the past. He says, that's why I'm leading the tournament.
So thank you, Melissa.
Melissa gets the whole check this week.
That's better. Walter Ray says, yeah, that's better. He hasn't given up.
Oh, he'll never give up. But David Traber isn't going to give up either. And remember, this is a guy that went out and beat his brother for the national championship.
Well,
you know,
yeah.
A little sibling rivalry.
He's the opponent. I mean, imagine they bowled against each other, imagining that result many times when they were kids.
Many times. Throwing it harder and harder.
And Marcel Fournier and his wife, he's proprietor here of Marcel's Olympic Bowl.
Marcel owns 6 bowling centers in the New York area, doing quite well, and hosts one of the most successful amateur events also, the Lilac
Tournament. Yeah. And David just cruising along, strike 4-pin, 4 in a row, leading by 45.
He throws it harder and harder. The more he needs it, the harder he throws it, and he can really generate some ball speed. Maybe too hard that time, huh, Mike?
Kind of stuck or something. Just didn't finish as solid as he normally does.
Yeah, I think he got a little quick. I think his feet got a little fast. He just thinks faster and faster and harder, and he's a grinder anyway. And the grinders are, like I said about Roger Bowker, they're the blue-collar guys that get out, and they're nothing. There's no finesse to this, folks. They just go out there and get it done. He's a good spare shooter. This will hit about 120 miles an hour going down.
Ooh. And Melissa says, all right. Thank you.
Yeah, she's counting that money. I mean, she earned it this week.
Walter has to strike here to bite into this lead. Well, that cuts it to 31.
Well, Walter Ray is obviously the crowd favorite here. You can hear them. He's down now. He's been winning every match up to this point quite handily. This match, he's in a lot of trouble. The role is reversed. All his opponents have basically gotten in trouble early on, except Marc McDowell in the opening match. Now Walter Ray is in this problem.
Oh, nice little break. It's not over, Earl.
Come on, keep the speed up.
Did you hear that? Come on, keep the speed up.
Oh, yeah, well, he will keep it up. Yeah.
As David gets ready to bowl, we want to thank Brian Goebel for being our guest analyst during the semifinal match. He saw a good one, and this is too. Boy, he carries that weak 10 out so well, going that hard.
Unique style. And again, I mentioned the fact that he plants his left leg, he doesn't bend the knee, and if you watch his hand, he doesn't follow through the ball. He throws it off his hand rather than rolling it off his hand. Kind of a strange way of doing it, but he gets the job done because his hand stays in the ball. His thumb comes out, his hand stays in the ball, even though he throws it off his hand. He still gets some rotation, but he gets a lot of his rotation from friction on the lane. He actually throws the ball into the surface, and that makes it rotate.
Ninth frame, leading by 21.
Big shot here.
Oh, can't throw it any better, can you?
Well, he's got his average already, or close to it.
Well, what he's done, though, is he forces Walter Ray, as we look at the Victor's Trophy, to strike out to have any chance.
Well, if you had to bet on somebody to do it, you might bet on this guy right here. He'll find a way, generally.
Key shot here in the ninth frame. The late love tap.
You bet. I think he's just asked for another re-rack. Yeah. Here's a look at it again. Now watch the 10 pin over in the right-hand corner. You see the 6 pin go into the channel and just snuggle out, and just the tip of the neck of the pin tapped the base of the 10 pin and it fell over. That surprises me. I didn't think he had any chance to carry that 10 pin.
First of the 10th.
Every shot is a must.
Oh, he's still alive. Traber knows the score. Walter Ray. Walter Ray needs one more to put him in the 230s. Well, he's carrying the building. One more gives him 235 and will make Traber strike to win. Traber asked for a re-rack on 34, and it came down right then. Walter Ray's waiting for that.
Wake up back there.
Right. Wake up back there. I guess he's asking for another re-rack on the fill ball. Nine spare strike. We've got a tie. Strikes here, he wins. Anything less than 9, and he loses.
So skip twice and then hit the pins. Bing, bang, bang.
And Walter Ray is the winner. Walter Ray is the winner behind the entire match. David Traber leaves the 4-7. Spare and a strike is 234. Walter Ray is our victor. What a come-from-behind win. David just disappointed with himself, I'm sure. The opportunity was there. But with the crowd cheering like that, the momentum changing, it was a difficult shot to make, Earl.
Well, what it came back to was that elbow. And what I saw at the foul line was the elbow out to the right.
A standing ovation for your champion, Walter Ray Williams. We'll be back to talk to him in just a minute.